Trading Addicts, what's going on? This is Jeff Kohler, aka The Option Addict, from over at www.tradingaddicts.com. Here on a Sunday night during the World Series for a quickie, a quick and dirty. Just to highlight some things that we're looking at for the upcoming week. The S&Ps took out their highs on Friday, right? I think we're kind of all betting towards that. Sentiment being what it is, there hasn't been much in the way of trying to stop this market. And last week it was pretty choppy, granted. I mean, you could be a bull or a bear, and you probably had some trades handed to you last week. But what's interesting about the S&Ps now is as we've cleared these highs, we've been talking about this setup ever since we traded down and broke through this neckline back here at 1270. That once we were able to take out these lows, prices would travel really, really fast on through this level right here. Okay, this level that I'm highlighting right through here. We're trading back up through it right now to the upside. Okay, we're doing so also simultaneously as that McClellan is overbought. What's interesting is the McClellan still got a little bit of a bearish divergence going on, but let's kind of go through one thing at a time. McClellan overbought, S&Ps took out the highs, but we've entered into this area, this volume pocket, right? And I think that'll be better illustrated if I pull up this chart here, and we'll go to the ES. And this is a 5-year chart, so this goes back a long, long ways. This takes into account a lot of price action, right? But as we trade up through, you can see this level here, basically this valley. If you tilt your head to the right ear to right shoulder right now, you'll see this big pocket right through here. And that little valley is a volume pocket, right? And so this is typically where price travels the fastest because it hasn't spent a lot of time there. We can go into value areas and we can start talking about market profile, but I won't do that now. We'll save that for another time. But we're entering into that volume pocket, which should take the S&Ps, at least the ES, up to about 1260 or so. That might get the S&P cash possibly up here to test that 200-day moving average. But that ought to be the extent of it. Until we see some confirmed weakness, I would be really careful shorting the market, although once we travel through this pocket, that should be a pretty good reference point to the upside, because that goes back to that big head and shoulders pattern that developed through the beginning of the year, yada yada. Also, what's interesting to note here is that the Russell, the Russell's not participating. There's a big old bear, I guess you should say, bullish divergence in the VIX, right? The S&Ps took out their highs. The VIX didn't go down to test its lows. It's still way, way off of that low point back through here where the VIX traded back through 30 and then ripped right back up above it. So there's obviously some issues going on here with this market. And who can forget, I had the chart up here for a minute, but I'll go back to it. Copper looks terrible, right? And copper's got a serious point of control up here, a big, big level of volume. Basically, the pinnacle of all trading volume in copper over the past 5 years happens right here at about 335 to 340. That's why we spent about 7 days up there. Copper wasn't able to take that out. So we've got the double bottom or the inverse head and shoulders pattern possibly working here. But until copper gets up, it's got some volume pockets up overhead as well. But until it trades up through here, guys, I think if copper stays down, we still get that bullish divergence here in the VIX. The Russell still doesn't want to go up. We get all these things. By the time the S&Ps get anywhere up through that volume pocket, I think that's an incredibly excellent place to short stocks. But let's focus on the week ahead. And right now, sentiment is obviously bullish. There's no stopping that emotion right now. So what I figured I'd do here real quick before the game's over is run through kind of my most interesting setups, places I would want to look to invest for the upcoming week. I got to tell you right now, I've been saying this via Twitter and blogging about this and whatnot, but I'm pretty bullish on the banks. And that's it's hard to say that, right? Those are words that haven't been spoken by myself in quite a long time, but we were spot on over at Trading Addicts about energy and materials leading the market higher, right? When those bullish percents were down into single digits, both of them below 5, the energy sector just absolutely ripped. Most of those stocks are up like 25% over the course of the last 2 weeks. I think they're probably going to perform at the rate of the market. I mean, I don't suspect you'll find any real alpha there. Materials maybe. I'm still kind of, there's some really good setups in the materials patch, but my favorite right now, if the S&Ps are going to travel through that volume pocket, then the banks have got to lead on the next leg up. And so I've got a position in the FAS. The BKX is what I'm looking at for a breakout. Next reference point overhead is about 45 to 46, and the volume pocket here is what I'm looking at. I'm looking for the setups that offer the thinnest pockets overhead so that price travels the fastest. BKX is my favorite this week. I've been long some calls in the FAS. I like the setup in Zions, the way that it's coiling up here. You know, a lot of these banks got earnings too, so it's going to be tough to try to navigate around those. But FAS, I think, is all you got to do. Rather than bet on an individual bank and get hosed over earnings, just play an ETF. That's the way to go. A couple other setups in the material space. I love this setup in ANR. I mean, it is my favorite. If you're going to trade anything in the materials, you got to trade this reversal pattern that's developing here. In terms of volume pockets, remember, volume pockets, volume pockets. I mean, that's all I'm really looking at trading in the next couple weeks, or even the upcoming week, is looking for the pops. These stocks will travel really, really fast on up to that next reference point, right? Got to be long ANR. I've been trading ANR for the last couple weeks, and you got to be there. Freeport too. I like this trade more so if copper prices can get up, go back on a buy signal, and start trading north of that point of control I showed you. But if that happens, man, Freeport's a monster here. Freeport will get to 41, 42 with ease. You got to try that. Again, so long as copper trades well. I like some setups here, like in BID, the way that it's kind of coiling up. I like the dip buy location here. Not necessarily a volume pocket, but good sturdy technical setup here. Good volume at this low. What else do I like here? I like IMAX. Again, volume pocket up overhead. A lot of these setups are going to show you that if you look a little further back. But I like the base that's been built here above the 50 and 20-day moving averages. If it gets up above 18, 18.5, the stock goes a lot higher. IMAX looks good. I missed a dip buy in ARUN on Friday, like a putz, but I still think that setup looks fantastic. In steel, MTL, a lot of reversal patterns in coal and steel names down here. I'm long some U.S. Steel, I'm long a couple other materials names, but if they start to work, there's going to be the day, or 2-day stretch where these stocks are all up 10 to 15%. So I'd be watching for that this week. ADS is getting some volume as it approaches highs. If I zoom out on this a little bit more and clean up the chart a little bit, you'll see this nice. This stock has held up really, really well while the market's been as heavy as it has been. So I think you got to look at something like that and think higher. ADS looks good. I like the way WPRT is coiled up right through here. I like that. Speaking of coiled up, I like NOG. NOG looks pretty good. Speaking of coiled up, Taiwan Semiconductor. Love that setup there too. That stock goes higher this upcoming week. I bought some calls on CRM, some weeklies. If you can get outside of this little 10-day consolidation, that's a monster setup. This stock right here should run at least, I was planning on that 200-day, which is about 135, 136. It's a good little move, especially in those weeklies. Call me crazy, but I like the China stocks here too. Inverse head and shoulder pattern in Sohu. SINA, that one looks really good. And PWRD. Those are my 3 faves. Couple others. Red Hat should go to new highs this week. You got to be long Google here somewhere. And Friday was a nice little close outside of that range of value. Had a multi-day consolidation there. Google has a really, really nice structure. LinkedIn is a sleeper here for the upcoming week. I missed a monster trade in this, and I'm trying to get back in it on a move to 100. And Under Armour. Just a couple of bullish patterns that I'm looking at. When we trade through that volume pocket, I'm looking to take off all my longs. That's going to be my target price to basically shift from overall bullish, which we have been for the last couple weeks since that nice little bear trap at the lows, to where we are today. Been net long, just only with slight hedges along the way. So once we get through that volume pocket, though, complete shift. I'm going to be looking to short some more stocks, at least some individual components of the market, and betting on individual stocks to the upside a lot less. So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Hoping you have a killer week this week. I'll probably hit some of these on Twitter and do a little bit of follow-up, but at the same time, come visit me for the upcoming week. $5 for 5 days. Give us a try over at tradingaddicts.com. In the meantime, this has been The Option Addict. That's been my watch list. Thanks for watching. Have you a profitable week.